$3 a week for 6 days. And I think about 54 hours a week for $3.
No, let me get he was Jewish, man.
And he told me anytime I bring in clothes, go through the pockets, because there's times when people leave money, jewelry in their pockets. And I'll never forget this time I found a ring in one of the pockets, and I gave it to my boss. And I thought he was going to take and turn that ring back to the customer. But a week later, I saw that ring on his finger. He kept the ring, which I thought was a terrible thing. So another time I found $5. And I didn't know whether I should keep it or not, because if I give it to him, he'll keep it himself.
Yeah.
So I held it for a while, and finally it bothered me a lot, bothered my conscience. So I turned the $5 over and gave it to my boss, and he kept the $5. So that was my first job. I worked there about 6 months, and then I went to work in the North Tire. I was what they call deflating tubes, and they had these big tubes, and all by hand, piecework. And I think I made then around $2.50 a day, 6 days a week.
Well, how about
And
when you worked at the
5 and 10?
Yeah, the 5 and 10.
Well, I worked at the North Tire Rubber Company for about a year, I think it was. And it was all piecework. It was hard work. And all the kids used to chew tobacco those days, you know. So I thought I'd be smart, and I asked one of the kids for a cut of tobacco. And he gave me this tobacco. I put it in my mouth and started chewing, and I got sick. So from then on, I didn't chew anymore. Now, about the next job, that was in the 5 and 10. That job was, he hired me to catch rats. It was on Main Street. Of course, the river was in the back there, and there were real water rats. And they were anywhere from 6 to 8 inches long. I had a trap, and of course, we had down the cellar all the stock candies and different things, different items down the cellar there. And they always went around the candy. And, I used to catch 2 or 3 rats a day, but I could never get rid of them. And I advised my friends never to buy candy in that 5 and 10 on account of the rats. Now, what else do you want to know? Do you want to know about the boy that I saved from drowning?
Yeah.
You do?
What happened about that time?
Well, I still worked in the 5 and 10. And I had to deliver an order this day, and I had to cross the mill pond. And in order to get on the other side, I walked across the dam. It just so happened it was low this day, and the dam there was no water in the dam, so I walked across the dam. When I got halfway across the dam, I heard someone holler, "Help, help, he's drowning, he's drowning." And I thought they were just playing. And I turned around, I went towards the deep end of the pond there, and I saw this boy was really drowning. And I jumped overboard, clothes and all. And he was just ready to settle down the bottom, face down. And all I did, I just put my hand on his stomach and I picked him up. He came up so easy. And when I got him up on shore, by that time there was quite a few people around, and they took care of the rest. They gave this artificial respiration, and he came out all right. And I'm in my clothes for 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours, wet clothes. And I got sick. I got typhoid fever, and I was in bed for 10 weeks. When I got out of bed, I weighed about 90 pounds.
Did you get any reward?
No, I got no reward. This boy was about 8 years old. And I didn't see that boy for years after that until one day when, after I was married, I met him. And he was a man then, in his middle 20s. And he was with a couple of friends. He said, "Hey, there's the man that saved my life." And he came over, shook hands with me. And this boy turned out to be a big bum. Drinking all the time. He was just a drunkard. And I almost lost my life to save a bum. If I knew that he was going to be a bum, at the time I'd let him stay there. I wouldn't try to save him.
Yes.
But I didn't know it.
Really
Now
good for nothing.
that's that period.
Now,
Now what else do you want to know?
How about after times, when you first started to be a tailor?
Oh, well, when I left the 5 and 10, I went to work in a place they call Mayhoff Company. My first job was sweeping the floor. That's all I did. And I was very anxious to learn how to cut. And the forelady, her name was Miss McMahon, and she took a liking to me. And I asked her, I said, look, I'd love to be able to learn how to cut. She said, don't worry, but I'll take care of you. You just take care of your sweeping first. You take care of that, and I'll see that you learn how to cut. Well, within 6 months, they put me on a cutting table with the head cutter. And I became, in a very short time, a fine cutter.
You still are.
A good cutter.
Excellent.
But I was only getting $12 a week. And I worked there from 1916 until 1927. I was married in 1924.
11 years.
But I'll never forget, about 2 months before I got married, well, at that time I was getting $25 a week.
Well, who
Just
did you
before I
get
get married.
to?
Your grandmother.
Who's that?
She was beautiful, Gemma. And
I still have to hear this.
I was getting $25 a week, and the other cutters were getting $35. So I rented a 5-room apartment. They wanted $50 a month. Well, at $25 a week, you never pay $50 rent for $50. So I went to my boss and I told him that I was going to get married, and I told him I'd like to have more money. And he said, well, how much do you want? I said, I want $45 a week. And he said, how can I give you $45 a week and I'm paying the best cutters $35? I said, I'm as good as they are, or if not better. And I need $45 because I'm paying $50 a month rent. And he said, well, then I finally said, look, I tell you what I'll do, Mr. Mayhoff. If you pay me $45 a week, I'll guarantee to cut you 100 dresses a week.
What?
He said, Arthur, you'll never do it. I said, Mr. Mayhoff, if you pay me $45 a week, I'll guarantee it. He said, Arthur, if you can cut 100 dresses a week, I will give you $45 a week plus a 2 weeks vacation with pay. I was just fine, I'll do it. So in order to cut those 100 dresses, I had to work Saturdays, sometimes Sunday mornings, sometimes nights to cut 100 dresses. I perhaps put in 55 to 60 hours just to cut the 100 dresses, but I kept my promise.
Did you cut them all?
I cut 100 dresses a week. And about 10 months later, I was offered a job in Stanford for $100 a week. And I said, well, I'd like to take this job, but I have an agreement with my boss, a verbal agreement. And my agreement will not expire until July. And she said, all right, I'll wait until July, which is 2 months more to go. So I said, fine. I said, I'll talk to my boss tomorrow, and I'll tell him that I'm going to leave within 2 months' time. So the next day I went to my boss and I told him that I had an offer. I had an offer to work in Stanford for $100 a week. And he said, Arthur, but I said, I will not go until my year expires. When I told my boss that I had this job in Stanford, and I told him that we had an agreement, and I will not leave until my year is up. And he said, Arthur, if you can make $100 a week, as much as I need you, he says, you can go Monday morning, and I will still stick to my promise, and I will give you 2 weeks vacation with pay. And any time that you feel as though you want to come back here, just call me, and your job is open for you all the time.
Did you get the vacation?
So I got my 2 weeks vacation with pay the following Monday, and I went to work in Stanford. And instead of making $100 a week, I was making $125, $150 a week. But I worked hard.
So you made close to
those days
$500
it was
a month.
those days was really good money.
That's good, $500
Yeah.
a month.
Well, while I was working there in Stanford, I said to my dear wife, I said, you know, as we have 2 children, and if I'm going to be a cutter all my life, I will get nowhere. I'm going to take up designing. And my wife says, fine. But I says, I'll have to go to New York 2 nights a week. And I won't get home before 1:30. She says, fine, if you want to become a designer and a pattern maker, you go. So I used to go every Wednesday and Friday to New York. And within a year's time, I became a pattern maker and designer.
That's nice.
I'll have to continue this conversation, Louis and Johnny, some other time.
Well,
It's really,
good.
I could go on and
Yes.
give you my life's history, but it would take much longer than.
Yeah, the tape will too.
Yeah.
Well, how about now? You've got your own business, and
Well, no, then of course, I went into business, and I retired in 1964.
well, how about to the current date now?
The current day, well, I really tell you, we have a studio, and we make custom ladies swimwear by appointment only. And it's really nice. We put in maybe 4 or 5 hours a day,
How about
your grandmother and I, and we enjoy it very much.
How about your family, grandchildren?
My grandchildren?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have beautiful grandchildren. Beautiful.
How many?
My oldest boy, Louis, has 6 children, and they're all beautiful. 4 girls and 2 boys. And my son, Vincent, he has 3 beautiful girls. And of course, my darling Maria, she has 5 lovely children.
Well, now,
We're very happy about it. I really think these grandchildren keep me young. I love them.
it's a bunch of bums.
And so does Grandma. I beg your pardon?
Bunch of bums, right?
What you want? Oh, no, I wouldn't say that. They're all smart, they're all good swimmers, and they're really a good, loving family.
Well, are you enjoying your vacation with?
You mean at your house? Oh yes, we're having a lot of time, a lot of fun. But you know, I'm 70 years old now, and I would just love to get a job, just to try myself out again and see if I could really hold a job. But they won't hire me anymore. I'm too old. If I go for a job, they look at me and say, forget it.
Well, I think you could get a job.
Now, wait a minute. But in closing, I'm just about satisfied. If they don't want to hire me, I'm just about satisfied to stay the way we are. We're very happy, my wife and I.